All right. Aloha mai, my name is Sharice Casello, and I'm the Wahiawa Public Library Manager. Big Read Hawaii is a celebration of poetry, art, and storytelling organized by the Kapiolani Community College and funded by a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts in partnership with Arts Midwest. Look out for more Big Reads events all through April 22nd, including free books and take and make kits supporting community reading across the islands of Hawaii. On behalf of NEA Big Read Hawaii, we welcome you to getting to know your culture with author Lee A. Tonouchi. Lee is one of Hawaii's Okinawan yonsei known for writing in Hawai'i Creole or Pidgin. And then with artist Laura Kina, he did the children's book Okinawan Princess, the the Legend of Hajichi Tattoos from Best Press, which won one Skipping Stone's Honor Award in 2020. When he's not writing, he's eating because he's always one food. He's also a food critic for frolichawaii.com. Lee, take it over.
Oh, sorry. I was just listening to on tape of my talented friend Colin Hu on the Sangxing. I was just reminiscing, bruh. So Sanshin music always brings me back because I grew up in one house in Palolo Valley in Kaimaki that was filled with Okinawan music and dance because my Kaimaki grandparents would always invite all their Okinawan friends over so they could practice together for whatever performance was going to be coming up next. So pretty much every other night, would have people dancing, singing, playing sangching at our house. So you would think, that I would be expert Okinawan singer and dancer too, but no, because I used to get mad, bro, when these people came over, right? Because it meant I no could watch TV. Yeah, whenever these people came over to our house, I had to stay in my room and read books. Yeah, but maybe that's why I became one writer. So growing up, I never really felt that much of a connection to the Okinawan culture because I always associated Okinawan culture with the old people, right? Because they was the only people I seen, right? Playing Okinawan sangshing, doing Okinawan dance. I remember I had times when my grandma, she'd get super excited because I have a young sangshing player who was up and coming. Come to find out that when I meet the guy, young meant that he was like 40 years old, bro. But I guess to the old people, that is considered young. um, so I have a hard time, right, being raised by my grandparents. This is after my mom passed away, because their ways just seem so old. Like, who does that anymore? Like, whenever my friends came over, my grandma would be so embarrassing at the kind of questions she asked. I'm gonna give you guys an example. I'm gonna share a poem. Yeah, this is from my collection, Significant Moments in the Life of Oriental Faddah and Son on Hawai'i Okinawan Journal. So this is the kind of questions my grandma asked. What village you from? Grandma asks my friends with Okinawan last names. I don't know why. She always gets disappointed when they tell Palolo. Yeah. So I remember thinking, it's like nobody is from one village nowadays, Grandma. Yeah? We all live in one city. Oh, yes. Also, growing up, my grandma would keep reminding me, that we're different. Yeah, but I was never really sure what that difference was, right, between Japanese and Okinawans. All she would tell is, Naichi, right? That's the Japanese people from the mainland. She said, oh yeah, they don't like Okinawans. Yes, when I asked why, all she would say is because, oh, we're more country, that's why. So I was good. I was just thinking, must be like, towny people not liking people from Waianae or something. I never really understood. I remember hearing that one of the differences was that Okinawans eat pig, yeah, but Japanese never. But as one kid, that never really made no sense to me because everybody I knew ate spam, right? So it's super confusing. But yet I knew that my Kamiki grandma, right? She wasn't no crazy lady because even my Maui grandma, she instilled that same thing in me, right? She, she kept reminding, I'm Okinawan. In fact, she even went into a little bit greater detail when she revealed how much Okinawans love their pig, yeah? So I wrote another poem. This is from the same collection. This poem is written in the voice of my Maui grandma. This poem is called Whole Pig We Eat. Ba'asan raised the pig was, some the small ones she sell. When the pig ready, with a knife, she poke the neck, kill 'em, take the blood out, and the pig make. Ba'asan make big pot full of water. She boil 'em, and everybody come over and pour the hot water over the pig, and then they scrape 'em with the knife, take the hair off, clean 'em, and then wash. She called Ji-san, cut the head off, and cut the stomach now, from straight up, go cut the stomach, and then she take all the inside out, hemo. Next one, Ba'asan clean the intestine. Oh, that's the big job. Not one person can do it. 2, 3 person come and take all the intestine inside, no haito, no one. They take it all off and then wash them. And then they turn them inside out and then they soak them in the soap. Ba'asan cook with the soap, then clean with the water. After all pao, she mix with the cooking oil arunoga. Cook long time the intestine. Cook with the pork and you eat it. The stomach Ba'asan clean, cook in the water long time till the stomach comes soft. After that, Ba'asan cook with the meat, make soup out of that. She take the pig blood, then leave them little while in the pot, and the pig blood gonna get hard, see? Then she cook the pig blood separate. When the pork is cooked, she cut the pig blood, slice yo, cook together, eat. The liver separate, Ba'asan boil it, slice it, and serve with the salt. Okinawa style liver, very important. New Year Day, they have to have for decoration, not to give. When they offer, they have to have liver, offer for prayer. After you pray, then you eat it. Everybody gonna eat. Taste ono. Heart, all the organ can eat. Even tail, scrape them off, cut and can eat. I eat. Tongue too, no can waste. The ear, the good one, we all fight for the ear. Oh, too bad all that kind you never eat before. They don't sell them in the store as well. So you young folks don't know, yeah? Oh, the feet too, you clean them good, add kobu, the green one, cook long time. You have to take the toenail out, you know. Gotta clean them good, scrape them, scrape them. Not easy job make pig feet soup. Okinawa smart use pig. Pig head, good, make the medicine for the headache. Grandpa every time used to get sore head. Ba'asan clean the pig head, make soup with that. Old people, they make medicine with the head aruga. I don't know what they used to put. That's the main thing. That's why no sense telling. I don't know what Ba'asan used to put. Some kind leaf herb. She add the ingredients, then tie them up with the skin and steam them long time. In the bone, get the inside one. From that one, the gravy gonna come down. That's the medicine. Grandpa drink the shinji, then headache pow, gone. When Ba'asan make that time, I know watch, lazy me was. I think Bombay gonna have to help. But now I wish I knew all the ones she put inside. Really good medicine that. Ho ho, I know learn was. Ho ho. Okay, yes, and then don't get me started, right? Small kid time about small kid time projects at school. Yeah, doing those is very hard, right? When you Okinawan and you're not really sure what that means. This next poem is called Culture Day. Teacher like us present one food from our culture group and bring them to class to share with everybody on Culture Day. Grandma says Okinawans get andagi. Oh, but too dangerous, teach me, make. The oil hot, abunai, but the oil fly and I might get burned. Maui grandma tells me Okinawans is famous for pig, but all the pig part dishes they make, I think is kind of gross. I like get one good grade, and since my cooking abilities is limited to foods that I can microwave, I decide for chop up some spam. I cut them in cubes and nuke them on high. When pow, after the thing die, I throw one toothpick in each one for make little bit fancy, for add that little bit of extra class. I figure teacher gonna love my spam poo-poos, because it's like instead of all the pig organs being in all separate dishes, everything all stay in one dish. It's like eating 12 Okinawan dishes all one time. Oh, without getting into too many embarrassing details, I just give my speech about how Okinawans love pig and how spam get all the pig components that Okinawans love best. So in a way, I say my spam poo-poos is actually super Okinawan. Oh, but from the grade I get, I can tell. Teacher must not be into the kind modern Okinawan cuisine. Yeah, and this is a newer poem that's not published yet. So this is a new one. We're going special for you guys. All right, this one is called You Okinawan. I kind of surprised how many people don't know when I ask if they're Okinawan. My first reaction is, when you was growing up, you never asked. Well, I guess no can blame, because before time, a lot of the Japanese living in Hawaii was prejudiced towards the Issei and Nisei Okinawans. That's why by the time the newer Sansei and Yonsei generations came around, the parents just never tell them. They let them grow up thinking they're Japanese. My grandma different, but she always told me, you Okinawan, you know, you Okinawan. Oh, but growing up, when I used to ask, what's the difference between Japanese and Okinawan? All she would say was, Japanese no like Okinawans. And when I asked how come, she would just pause and tell, we more country, that's why. And then she would just look sad, and that's all she would say. Small kid time was super confusing. I remember when I did my research project for school, for culture. I remember I told the librarian, I flew Okinawan. But she said, isn't that the same as Japanese? See, there's no books on just Okinawa. So she gave me one book about Japan. And then when I looked at the map inside the book, I was like, oh yeah, it says Okinawa stay one prefecture of Japan. See, so even though I knew I was Okinawan, I was convinced too. So much so that when my classmates would ask me if I was Japanese, I remember I would tell them, yes. Okay, so getting back to my Kaimeki grandma, right? Considering how frequently my Kaimeki grandma used to tell me how much night she know like Okinawans, it stood to reason that, you know, maybe she was a little bit prejudiced too, huh? You know, but and that prejudice only kind of reinforced my belief that, you know, that's the olden ways, right? Because we're not supposed to be prejudiced. But I did notice that her stance kind of softened over time, especially after this one incident. This one is called Kaimeki Grandma on being Uchinanchu. Grandma asks us grandchildren if we can tell the difference between Okinawan and Naichi. My cousin jokes, if the last name no sound regulars and sound like one made up Japanese name, like half the names in Replinger's Japanese roll call skit, then that's Okinawan. Disappointed grandma scolds her. No said that you. Grandma says before time in Hawaii, Naichi never liked the Okinawans. She said the Naichi even made up stories that Okinawans was more closely related to monkeys. That's why we was darker and had so much hair. When grandma was small, she said one Naichi girl made her cry because she kept telling grandma for show her her tail. The Naichi girl insisted that all monkeys must have tails. Okinawa Naichi different, even till today. Hard for get along, grandma lectures us. As proof, she tells us about how when she went go visit her Naichi friend from Kahala Sai, who never asked her for go inside the house. No more the hospitality, Naichi style that kind. Maybe they never invite you in because their house was messy, I challenge. And I asked grandma if she called before going. That's Naichi style, she maintains. It's not until months later when grandma started cleaning out her ice box and get all her freezer food all over the place, an unexpected kind, Miyashiro man comes by for a visit, that grandma rethinks her original thinkings. Oh, me, first time, no more nothing for serve, nothing. Not even the cold drinks. Oh, maybe telephone first, good idea, no? Okay, so in college time, I started to take more of an interest in Okinawan culture, but it was hard to figure out how to do that, right? Because so busy at college time, but you know, I know the struggle is real because even my Kaimeki grandparents, them too, they only got into Okinawan music and dance after they retired. Before that, my grandpa used to say, oh, music, that is only for the rich guys. Yeah. So I think that's one of the hardest challenges we face, I think, right? Finding time for our culture. The next poem I'm going to read is my friend Shari Tamashiro's favorite. She's going to be doing the virtual kachashi lessons later on today, right? So if you never signed up yet, be sure to check that out. She's quite lovely and lively, right? Make sure you go check out Shari. Okay, this poem is called I'm gonna take one quick sip of water. Brainstorm, how for be more Okinawan. 1, start off simple, buy one cookbook, but make sure the thing was put together by one authentic Okinawan organization that's recognized by the HUOA, the Hawaii United Okinawa Association. This can enable me to prepare actual Okinawan dishes in a traditional Okinawan manner. Even if the food no taste so guaranteed to me, gotta at least know the theories of what I'm supposed to like to eat. 2, magical transference. When get time, cruise with all the old Okinawan people down in Lanakila Center. Huh? Maybe I can pick up some Okinawan words or something. I figure if I cruise with them long enough, some gotta rub off on me somehow. I don't know how. That's why it's called magical transference. Oh, but I don't know if I can because I work every day like everybody else. Oh yeah, no, who get time cruise with all the old people? 3, learn how to do something. Learn Okinawan dance or learn how to play some kind of instrument. Oh, this sounds hard, but because requires skill like that. Too bad I wasn't in band. I remember when I was small, Grandpa went try to teach me sangshing, but he gave up because he said, "You no more rhythm." Oh, so forget him back. I told him, not like you can sing good, sound like you get all kind of mucus. But then I found out that's how it's supposed to be. The song's supposed to sound like gala gala. 4, be hardcore. Learn Okinawan, no. Be hardcore, make the official pilgrimage and visit the homeland. Everybody go when they retire. Full-on immersion must work, no? Because they all claim they come back feeling mysteriously somehow more Okinawan. They swear they can feel the connection like it's their version of Mecca. Oh, go try call up Uncle Mac today, book one reservation on top of one of his tours. Oh wait, find out how much costs first. Like guys my age get extra money for travel. Oh, maybe that's why only the old people go. 5, the most practical way. Be like everybody else. Just be Okinawan once a year. Go Kapilani Park Okinawan Festival. Eat pig feet soup and andagi. And if I feel like some Okinawan American fusion cuisine, then go grind the combination andagi hot dog, otherwise known as the Onolicious underdog. And most importantly, no can't forget for buy one Okinawan Festival t-shirt. Even if the design all color code no match, freaking purple, yellow, green, red, gotta get the shirt just so I can say I went and I get some Uchinachu pride. So college time was hard, yeah, but looking back now, it's actually kind of funny, yeah. Especially when I asked my grandma for help me with my Japanese homework. Yeah, so this is another poem, right, from my collection. So this poem is called All Mix Up. In college, I took Japanese, only because everybody in my family said, good, more better for me in case I like get one job because all the tourists in Hawaii. And plus, all my friends said, going, come in handy. I can translate for them all the newest Japanese Gundam animations. No need wait for the junk English dub version. But oh, friggin' hard was Japanese. The cookie verb thing changed depending on who you talk to. If they more up than you, then you gotta be polite. If same, then that's one not a form. If lower than you, then I guess it's okay for be rude. So I ended up calling my grandma plenty times long distance for help me with my homeworks. She never mind me calling the house early in the morning before my class started, because she always got up 5 o'clock anyway for water the yard and listen half awake kind to the Japanese radio station. In fact, I think she liked me calling plenty, because when grandpa went move out, she never have nobody for talk to. My father mostly working and only me call, nobody go visit. I figure with my grandma's help, I would ace that Japanese class because my grandma was at least twice as old as my Japanese teacher, who wasn't even Japanese. I think he was Korean. Oh, but I don't know what went happen. I was getting all my answers wrong, bro. Finally, one day after class, I went to tell the teacher, hey, you sure you know what you're talking? My grandma wouldn't help me, you know. He tilted his head at me, then tilted him back the other way, then thought for 2 seconds before he said, oh, must be your grandmother doesn't speak proper Japanese. Perhaps it's rural Japanese or provincial. And he asked what part of Japan she was from. Oh, Friggin' A. Finally, somebody asked what village I from. Oh, I tried to commit that little bit of information to permanent memory, but I guess no more such thing as permanent memory because I searched and I searched my head, but I no could remember. I just looked at him like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Shrugged my shoulders and walked away. My grade wasn't doing so good, so I called my grandma less and less. But I think she missed me calling because after a while, she would call me to see if I needed help with anything. She even volunteered for ask some of grandpa's old friends who knew more than her kind. But I wasn't taking no chances on people without PhDs, like Miyashiro Man or Karate Man or 10 Cent who got his name because he never used to have more than 10 cents to his name. But that was back in the day. So today his name probably would be Dollar. Later on, when I came back on break, my grandma wanted to know what I got in Japanese. I told her, oh, the report card never come yet. And just so happened, she had the guy 10 Cent on the phone. So she told me go talk to him. But what I was going to say, I never like tell him I was thinking of quitting Japanese when I never even tell my grandma yet. So I was all like, hey, Mr. 10 Cent. Oh, almost called him Mr. Dollar. I told him, yeah, my grandma would help me planning, but I got them all wrong every time. Mr. 10 Cent would laugh. Then he would tell, the way you grandma talk to your grandpa. That's not Japanese. That one, Champuru Uchinaguchi. What that? Championship Okinawan, I would tell. No. What kind of atama you get, boy? I could almost feel him slap my head over the phone. Champuru. That's Onokain Okinawan stir-fry cow. Champuru Uchinaguchi mean Okinawan, Japanese, Hawaiian, English, Pidgin, all mixed up together in one. Only in Hawaii, get Champuru Uchinaguchi. Only in Hawaii, I repeated inside my head. Only in Hawaii. Oh, I guess I know a little bit of something that not too many people know, bruh. Oh, gotta be proud for me, Chiburu. So I remember college time, I asked my Kameki grandma for teaching me and explained to me the Okinawan words from her Okinawan songs. And that's when I learned that, oh, she couldn't speak Uchinaguchi. She only knew the general meanings of the songs and how the thing's supposed to go, but she couldn't do one word for word translation. She just memorized and knew the words phonetically. Yeah, so she was kind of doing what a lot of the Hawaiian musicians was doing in the 70s, right? So young guys who never know Hawaiian, but they learned the Hawaiian songs from memory because they wanted to perpetuate the culture. Oh, it's like mind blown, bro. So all this time I thought she knew. And then later on, it was kind of shocking to me when I found out that my Maui grandma, who grew up working plantation, she told me she could speak Uchinaguchi. She never know how to play an instrument or dance anything, but she said she knew. But we encountered one problem, when she tried to give me her first lesson. This poem is called Uchinaguchi Paradox. College time, I wanted to learn Uchinaguchi. So I asked my Maui grandma if she could teach me the Okinawan language. She said she could talk them. She said she used to talk them all the time back when she worked plantation and lived with my in-laws, my great grandparents who came direct from Okinawa. She can talk fluent Uchinaguchi, she said, but she can only make them come out if the other person talks fluent Uchinaguchi back to her. What kind of dilemma, no? I can only learn Uchinaguchi if I spoke fluent Uchinaguchi. But if I spoke fluent Uchinaguchi, then I wouldn't have to learn. That's why hard. So I've been writing and publishing poems about being local Okinawan probably since the late 90s. So writing was one way for me to learn about, what that means too, right? For being a local Okinawan. My great grandma, she had Okinawan Hajichi tattoos on her hand. So I wrote several poems about that from my collection. And this is from my collection. I go share two of the poems with you guys. This poem is called Hajichi, Tattoos and Diamonds is Forever. I cannot tell if her hand's shaking because she's nervous, that gonna hurt, or if it's because of the forbiddenness of her act, that she's here despite her fiance's wishes. Like us, her fiance is one local Okinawan too, but he's not down with the whole idea He said getting the tops of her hands tattooed is barbaric and equated the practice to branding and treating women like possessions. Ironically, he suggested that she could get one tattoo of his name instead. I come involved when she calls me up and asks me if I know anything about Hajichi. I tell her, I don't think it's about the husband doing them to the wife, saying you belong to me. And I share with her the Okinawan myth that my grandma told me, the one about the princess who marked her hands so that her pirate captor, whose personal preference was for hands, sands, any kind of markings, would find her repulsive and set her free. I tell her, to me, the story is more about how the princess uses her ingenuity for defeat one more mightier enemy. Together, we do some more research where we learn right around the turn of the 20th century, the Japan government using military force invaded and took control of independent Okinawa. As time went on, our ancestors lost control over their government, their lands, their culture. And then the Japan government banned the shaman women of the villages who did the Hajichi tattoos from practicing their art form in order to allow for a more homogeneous culture and easier assimilation of Okinawans into Japan. Some Okinawans believed that the Hajichi ban was one excuse to round up and imprison the Okinawan women elders and break up their power. Yet, despite the fact that the culture was one crime, many Okinawan women still continued to forget their Hajichi as their act of resistance. As my friend passes the photo of her great grandma's Hajichi to the tattoo artist, I tell her she's lucky she get that photo. I ask her one more time if she's sure. If she's sure, she's sure. Because what if her husband to be calls off the wedding? I remind her that both tattoos and diamonds is forever. She looks at the back of her hand as she reminds me that even in Okinawa, I hardly get any women with Hajichi anymore. So even though her fiance might not like how it looks, it doesn't matter what he thinks because to her, it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. I note the steadiness in her hand as she extends her arm and flips her wrist so that the top of her hand faces outward. I note the steadiness in her voice when she declares, and if he don't like it, he can talk to the hand. Palms face up. Ask my grandma, how come in every family picture we get, Obamang's sitting down with her hands on her lap, with her palms face up? Grandma says when Obamang came to Hawaii, she was ashamed because none of the other women had that kind of Okinawan tattoos on the backs of their hands. That's why whenever she went out, no matter how hot, she always wore gloves. Obabang even told grandma that when she make time, make sure her hands get the glove on when she stay in the casket. Grandma says she made her promise. I asked grandma, oh, if Obabang would stay in Okinawa, then would she have been not shamed? Obabang was probably embarrassed before she came was, grandma tells, because back in Okinawa, everything Okinawa was coming shame. Grandma tells me she heard stories that in the schools over there, if they caught you speaking Uchinaguchi, you had to wear the Hogen Fuda sign around your neck as your punishment, marking the way that you spoke was inferior. I still don't get it. How can I ask? How can be shame Okinawa when you in Okinawa? When Japan took over Okinawa, they teach, when Japan took over Okinawa, they teach Okinawa way, not the right way. They teach you gotta be like the mainland. Oh, like the mainland, I repeat. And that's when all of a sudden I can relate like that, you know the kind. So I wrote these poems after my great grandma passed away, but I'm lucky that I actually got to see, right? Firsthand, I got to see her tattoos. Yes, a lot of young people nowadays, they don't know. And if they do know, most never seen, right? The real kind. So even in Okinawa, plenty of people never seen before. Yeah, so my poetry collection, this one won the Association for Asian American Studies Book Prize. That's a national award, yeah? So had a few local authors won this award before and had a couple of Pidgin authors won this award before. But I was especially proud because I was the first one who won this award that wrote stuff that was Okinawan themed, yeah? Because usually when you think of Okinawan American writing, yeah, there's not too much nationally, yeah? So after I won the award, I was supposed to go to the big award ceremony in Seattle. But around that same time, my first daughter was just born, and then kind of cost us plenty of money for travel. So I asked, oh, you can just mail me the award. So they said, okay. So I was waiting. I wait a couple months and the thing don't come. Yes, I go call them up. I asked, hey, what happened? Oh, they said how one guy at the conference saying that he was my friend and he was going to give them to me. But they didn't know who that was, and I don't know who they was talking about, and nobody gave me anything. So luckily, they was able to make one new one and mail that one to me. But it's kind of troubling that someplace out there, a fake Tonouchi now with one with my plaque on his wall. I don't know who that guy was, bro. Stole my first award. Around this point in my life, the old people was disappearing, right? Because my mom died when I was small. My father, he just passed away before this book came out. My great grandparents was all gone. My grandparents were passing away. So now the responsibility for passing along Okinawan culture that rested in me now, right? So I have two young daughters, and I was trying to find Okinawan children's picture books for them. So I did research on Okinawan themed children's picture books that's written in English. I even did 2 write-ups for the Hawai'i Herald, where I went review all the books I could find. I could only uncover maybe like a little bit over a dozen in total, half of them being translations of works that was originally or concurrently published in Japanese, and most or almost all was super hard to obtain, most of them not in print anymore. So for the longest time, I was mad, bro. Like, oh, how come no more books? Until one day I realized, I said, hey, I'm a writer. I should just go write one. Yeah. So once I decided that I'm gonna make an Okinawan themed children's picture book, I had to figure out now what it's gonna be about. So I figured, okay, it should be about Hajichi. And I didn't know who's gonna be the artist, but so I happened to see Laura Kina's artwork. She had her artwork on top of the World Wide Web. She had a series of paintings about plantation workers and Hajichi tattoos. And she was pretty much the only Okinawan American artist I could find who was doing Okinawan themed work. Yeah, this was several years ago. So I searched the whole internet and only found Laura. So, since she had painted Hajichi, I figured she might be interested in teaming up. So I decided to try ask her. So I just sent her one email out of the blue, and turns out she already knew who I was. It turns out she had gone to the conference in Seattle that I was supposed to go to get my prize. She told me that later on, out of all the people at the conference, she had been hoping to meet me, right? Because Okinawan, that's why. Yeah, so we connected, and our project was meant to be, right? So that's how me and Laura met. So normally when writers submit books to publishers, the publisher chooses the artist, and many times the artist and the writer, they might never meet until after the book comes out. So we did them the wrong way, but I think it's actually the right way of how books should be done, because then you have both people stay passionate about the project, right? So me and Laura, we worked together pretty much every step of the way, and we figured out we could worry about the publisher later. So Laura was so good at giving feedbacks. She's very spot on. My first draft was set in present day. Yeah, so was the young narrator and the great grandma with the Hajichi tattoos. So the great grandchild never saw the tattoos in person. So that made the story not as impactful, I thought, yeah. And then the young main character was originally one boy, only because I'm one boy and I was basing the story on the relationship between me and my grandma. So Laura had 2 really brilliant ideas, right? She said, we should make the little boy one girl because we both had girls. So this could be one empowering story for girls. And then she said, why not just set the story during your time when you were growing up during the 80s? And suddenly the story all clicked now, right? And was more fun for me because I wanted to insert pop culture references from the 80s into our book. And Laura said, okay. So we went to the book. So when we go to the book later, I'll go point out some of the cool 80s references for you guys. Huh? Oh, and during the course while we were making the book, I went to one talk by Masahide Ishihara Sensei. The talk was sponsored by Ukwanshin Kabudan. Ukwanshin Kabudan teaches so much stuff about Okinawan culture. I encourage all you guys to check them out. Yeah, if you're interested in learning about Okinawan culture. So anyway, at this talk that the sensei was giving, he was talking about how Okinawan language was becoming endangered. And all this time I never know, right? I just thought was fading in Hawaii. I just assumed that was still strong in Okinawa. But turns out in Okinawa, oh, only the old people speak them now, right? Because in school over there, they only stress the importance of Japanese and English. So that talk was very eye-opening to me because, that pretty much sounded like, well, oh, what went happen to the Hawaiian language? So I told Laura that for our book, oh, we gotta have Okinawan translations inside. And luckily she knew one guy, brah. His name is Masashi Sakihara. And he had one textbook on learning Uchinaguchi. So he was able to do the translations for us. So our hope was that the book can be part of the language revitalization efforts. So Masashi said, it's rare for see anything published in Okinawan, even in Okinawa. Yeah. So this book was a long time in the making, but Best Press picked it up. And here we go now. We're going to read Okinawan Princess, The Legend of Hajichi Tattoos. Okinawan Princess, The Legend of Hajichi Tattoos. Okay, the young girl says, oh, they're so glamorous. As she's looking on the TV. So that's supposed to be Cindy Crawford on the TV. And the grandma says, I have studying for do. And the girl says, I am, grandma. I'm studying how to be pretty so I can be one supermodel one day. Next page. The grandma says, you very pretty girl. Not pretty like those girls. I go share with you one story. Remember your babang and her tattoos? You used to think the marks on top her hands was bruises. And for the next page, the picture is actually one reference to the movie from the 80s called Bloodsport. I don't know if you guys saw that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Anyhow, so the girl says, I thought great grandma was in some kind of Okinawan fight club or something. I was scared for hold hands with her. When you babang come Hawaii in 1908, shame she was, because oh here, nobody get that kind tattoo. That's why in every family picture we get, she's sitting down with her palms face up. See, but in Okinawa before time, all the women used to put, from the design you can tell what village they're from, if they're from the rich family, all kind meaning get. But then later on, when Japan make boss, they tell, oh, no nice put that kind. Pretty soon, even in Okinawa, people think no nice was. Now I think so, almost all the old Okinawan ladies who had that kind, they gone already. So that was your story? No, we're just talking story. I never even start telling the real story yet. One long time ago in Okinawa, had one beautiful Okinawan princess. She was so wonderful that all the people loved her. She was so beautiful that word of her beauty spread to the faraway lands, reaching the ears of the evil pirate king. So then he goes in the boat, goes to Okinawa, goes to the castle, kidnaps the Okinawan princess. The pirates took her away and imprisoned her. She would go wait for the pirate king for call on her. All she had was one thing. You know what that was? One handsome Okinawan prince for come save her. So that's supposed to be like an 80s reference to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, right? So instead of Battle Cat, that's supposed to be Battle Shisa. And then Laura thought she would be funny and she would go put me as He-Man. So I guess that's Lee-Man. One black belt in karate, and that's supposed to be a Karate Kid reference, right? The crane kick. One pair of Okinawan nunchucks like Bruce Lee. What the? She had what sometimes I think you missing. She had her brains, her wits, Okay, so she takes the needle, she starts to give herself some tattoos. Okay, and then the pirate king sees that. He's like, oh, what the heck is that? And then she manages to escape now. When the pirate king saw what the princess went to do to him, she wasn't beautiful anymore. But when she got back home, all the Okinawan women thought the princess's Hajichi tattoos was the most beautiful thing they ever saw. That's why from then on, all the Okinawan girls did that for tradition, or did that tradition for fashion and for protection from the pirates. And then you see all the women have. Yeah, you can go next page. You know what the lesson of the story? Lock your castle door. Oh, if you notice the girl's shirt, that's supposed to be one reference to, I don't know if you guys remember, but TNC used to have one Trilla Gorilla shirt. Yeah? That's from the 80s. So that's instead of Trilla Gorilla, get Trilla Shisa. No trust people with eye patches and peg legs because they're going to kidnap you. Ah, ho, I share my story. Waste time, you. I just kidding. The moral is brains is important. But grandma, can I ask one question? Since the pirates wanted to kidnap all the pretty girls in Okinawa, what about the ugly girls? They have to get tattoos too. Nah, 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 nah. And the doll is like, what? Okay. Okay. That's all the supplemental material for the grown-ups. Look like we gotta start wrapping up, yeah? So I'm gonna close it one more then. Real fast. Okay. So my grandma, she was one of my greatest supporters. Yeah, my first reading, she asked if gotta bring anything. I said, no need, grandma. It's gonna have catering by Marriott, right? It's at Campus Center. She wanted to make. She made hundreds of andagi, bro, for my first book launch. My first play, Kumu Kahua Theatre. She rented one bus. She brought all the old people from her retirement community. They came on the bus on Thursday night, weeknight, to my play. Past 10 o'clock at night, they stayed up. The latest they ever stayed up, bro. So I wrote this poem. My grandma was my greatest fan. This poem is called She Becomes the Andagi Nazi. People always say my grandma makes the best andagi. Usually my grandma was nice lady, but I don't know who she is when I bring home andagi from someplace else. Because she always gonna get something for say. And it's not thank you. This one no enough cook, oil gotta be hot, you know. How come so small? Orosen grape. Funny kind of color. This no egg yolk. Food coloring must be. Andagi gotta be round. What shape this? Too much one time they fry. That's why come koge. How much they sell this kind? Oh no, buy next time. No more that taste. Where this from? Health food store. People always say my grandma makes the best andagi. And my grandma thinks so too. All right. You have questions now or something?
We don't have any questions in the chat, but I just wanted to say thank you, Lee. And I love going to the Okinawan festival. My uncle's Okinawan, and he would always take me and my sisters there. And I love the underdog, and it's just not the same. I remember the Okinawan festival. They moved to the indoors and a little bit different, but I liked it when it was at the park. Actually, we do have some comment. We have a comment question. When is your next Okinawan children's book coming out? Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, good. I can make commercial. The play for my book, my play is going to be called Oriental Faddah and Son. It's coming to Paliko Theatre next month. Yeah, so make sure you guys check that out. Yeah. So what else is coming out? I have one Okinawan Hawaii writer anthology that's coming out late this year too. Yeah, so that's a collection of all the Hawaii Okinawan writers I could find who are writing literary stuff. Yeah, I gathered them all together and we're going to have one book. So that's later on this year. I got one grant from Hui Olau Lima. So thank you for them. And that's coming out later on. As for the next children's picture book, I don't know. That might be a while.
Uh, Thank you. Someone was asking just in the chat, and I responded where the play was, and you said Poliku, which I believe is at Windward Community College. Is that
Yes,
correct?
very good. Yes.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Oh, thank you again, Lee, for this enjoyable session. Let's put our hands together virtually for Lee,
Thank you
and
guys for
then
coming.
thank you. And then we're going to hand it over to Elena Davies Smith of the Lahaina Public Library. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, from sunny Lahaina, Maui. Thank you so much, Lee. This is a perfect segue to what I'm going to introduce. When I chose your book as our participation in the big read, because it was just lovely and it was just filled a very wonderful gap, helps besides the culture part. I felt that it helps young women and young girls understand what beauty is and also just help their self-esteem. So I wanted to get our local Maui Okinawa Kenjin Kai Culture Center involved. And so I met with the club president and a club member, Wendy Tamashu, who is here actually online today. They were so happy to be involved with our program here, and they so enjoyed your book, Lee. I gave them several copies to give out. And as you were saying, Lee, how difficult it is to find time for your culture. This wonderful video put out by the center is going to help everybody understand where they can get involved. The center helps to preserve and promote Okinawan culture. And they have this lovely, wonderful video that I'm sure everyone will enjoy. So they're going to start this remotely. So here's the video coming up.
Mensore, welcome to the Maui Okinawa Cultural Center, the home of the Maui Okinawa Kenjin Kai, a nonprofit group dedicated to sharing the Okinawan culture. This center serves as our practice hall and performance space. We also have a small free museum. Our museum is currently closed to the public, so we'll take you on a short virtual tour right now. Okinawa is now a Japanese prefecture, but it was once independent and known as the Ryukyu Kingdom. On display are some artifacts from that era, like this obi worn by King Shotai, the last king of the Ryukyus. We also have examples of crafts that Okinawa is known for, like lacquerware. A common pattern is Okinawa's prefectural flower, the daigo. Notice the bright red color. This piece also has an image of the iconic Shureimon, a gate on the Shuri Castle grounds. Next, we have examples of ceramics. There are many different ceramic pieces at our museum. This is a pair of shisa. The shisa is a mythical creature that is for protection. You will often find it in pairs in front of a house or business in Okinawa. The shisa on the left would have its mouth closed, while the one on the right would have an open mouth. You might also see a shisa on the rooftop of a building, like we have on our cultural center. Okinawan glassware is colorful and beautiful. Quite often, we tend to think of a bubble in glass as a mistake. However, there is a style of Okinawan glass that actually uses bubbles. Just like the Hajichi Tattoos, this is another example of how what might be flawed or ugly to some people can actually be a thing of beauty. Some well-known Okinawan textiles are bashofu, which is made from banana fiber, and miyako jofu, a specialty of Miyako Island. Bingata is a colorful dyed cloth that Okinawa is known for. The patterns are created with a resist dye method. Bingata is also used for kimonos that can be seen in classical Okinawan dances. In addition to the museum, we also sponsor classes and events in order to share the Okinawan culture with the public. With help from a grant from Huio Laulima, we fly over Cheryl Yoshie Nakasone Sensei from Oahu to teach dance and komiudui at our cultural center. She is the artistic director for Jinpukai USA Kinryosho Ryukyu Geino Kenkyusho Hawaii Shibu. Nakasone Sensei has been teaching komiudui, a classical art form that incorporates music, dance, and speaking parts. Komiudui was first performed over 300 years ago at the Ryukyuan Royal Court. This is a clip from the Komiudui Hanaui Nue. It is a story of a samurai family that fell on hard times. The husband, Murikawa Nushi, and wife, Utudaru, agree that they would part to look for work. She does well and is able to support herself and their son, Chirumachi. However, after many years of no word of her husband, Utudaru and Chirumachi set out to find him. Nakasone Sensei also teaches Okinawan dance, from classical dances created during the Kingdom period through contemporary dances. This is Kajadefu, a well-known classical dance. The song lyrics compares the happiness one is feeling to a budding flower with droplets of dew. Here are some examples of Nakasone Sensei's original choreographies, like Erabu Koi Uta, where travelers reminisce about their homeland and the beauty of Erabu Island. Paradaisu Urumajima. This song speaks of the beauty and treasures of Okinawa, including the music and dance, arts and crafts, and the warm hearts of the island people. This is a modern instrument called an ichigo ichie, and it was created by the Okinawan music group Begin. It is a cross between a guitar and a sanshin, which is a 3-stringed Okinawan instrument. The body is traditionally covered in snakeskin. The Ichigo Ichie class plays contemporary Okinawan songs as well as local songs. Here's the group performing at our Maui Okinawan Festival. They are using a variety of instruments in addition to the Ichigo Ichie, including the guitar, keyboards, and the sanshin. Our festival is a great way to experience the Okinawan culture. You can enjoy a day of entertainment, see cultural displays, and enjoy some Ono Okinawan food. We also have a taiko class known as Maui Okinawa Taiko, which actually practices Japanese drumming. However, their style comes from their parent group in Okinawa, and they often use Okinawan music in their numbers. Passing on the culture to the next generation is an important part of Maui Okinawa Kenjin Kai's mission. With support from the Hawaii United Okinawa Association, we conduct an annual cultural day camp for children. Children participate in a variety of activities, including arts and crafts, learning about Okinawan food, and performing arts. Last year, the musical instrument was the kankara sanshin, which is a sanshin made from a can. The children learned to play and sing Okinawan songs. They also had language lessons and learned to say things like
Uchinanchu. One day, Uchinanchu Yaibing. I am Uchinanchu.
Uchinanchu is a person native to and is born in Okinawa.
Most importantly, children learn to appreciate and take pride in their heritage. We hope you enjoyed visiting with us today. For information on any of our programs or events, please contact us. Thank you to Big Read Hawaii and especially Elena Davies-Smith and Joy Oilers for this opportunity to share our Okinawan culture. And thank you to Lee Tonouchi for writing a wonderful book that shares Okinawan culture and history through the language of Pidgin. Ippe nife debiru.
That was wonderful, Lee. Isn't that a great video? And it's a wonderful little facility right on the ocean in beautiful Maui. So we hope you visit us soon, Lee,
I know.
and come visit the center.
It makes me want to go there right now.
I know that Wendy is on with us. So if there's anybody that has any questions about the center that I can't answer, which probably are a lot of questions, I'm sure Wendy would be happy to answer any questions. Okay, well, I'm going to throw it back to Charisse and we can, I guess, close this wonderful program, the kickoff for Big Read.
Okay. Thank you. Mahalo for attending this NEA Big Read Hawaii session. Up next at noon is Solomon Enos, who will be showcasing over 40 plus artworks here on Big Read. Check the Big Read website for registration details, and I'll put that in the chat. Give me a second. All right. Oh, it's in the chat already. Well, again, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.